So first I'll start off with a story time. So a couple nights ago, I found myself, I was pretty hungry. It was like, what time? It was like 10 o'clock, and I already had some noodles, so I didn't want any more noodles. So when I looked in the kitchen, I'm like, man, what am I going to eat? And then so I started looking online, and I came across Little Caesars. And this is great because Little Caesars is not too expensive, and Little Caesars pizza is not that bad. Um, and for but what stuck out to me was on Little Caesars website. It said home of the hot and ready pizza, and for some reason that just stuck with me. And when I was trying to come up with this message, just hot and ready just kept popping up to my head. So if I had to title this message, I would say uh, being hot and ready for Jesus at a young age.
All right. All right. That's good.
So have you ever felt like people don't take you seriously just because you're young? Maybe adults say you're too young to understand or stay in a child's place. Well, in some instances, these responses may be valid, but God doesn't wait for us to grow up before He can use us. He can use you right now. And that leads me to my first point, which is you're never too young to be an example. God doesn't measure your usefulness by your age, He measures it by your heart. Think of David. He was a young boy when he defeated Goliath. Nobody believed in him, but God did. You could be an example in how you talk, how you walk, how you treat people, and how you live. And this may cause you to lose some friends. They may think, "Oh, you're so lame now." But wouldn't you rather be lame in heaven than cool in hell? But let me tell you something. Well, and that takes me to my second point. Watch out for distractions. I be on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Netflix. I'm sure all y'all do too. These are all things I like to watch during my downtime. And I'll be lying to you if I say I didn't spend too much time. But that's something that we have to work on. Especially with our generation. I'm not saying that social media is bad, but when things take more of our attention than God, it becomes a distraction. We spend hours scrolling, but only a few minutes praying or reading the Bible. That's like feeding your body junk food all day and expecting to be strong. You'll end up weak. Another distraction could be like I was saying earlier, your friends. Sometimes the people we hang around influence us more than we realize. If your friends are always pushing you to do things against your values, like lying, cussing, picking on people, they're pulling you off course. You should ask yourself, are my friends pulling me closer to God or further away? Comparing yourself to others is also another distraction. We see other people's lives on Instagram, TikTok, and we think I'm not good enough, smart enough, or popular enough. But distractions through comparison may forget, but but distraction through comparison makes you forget what God has for you. God has a calling on your life. Like she was saying earlier, everybody has a gift in her. When Peter took his eyes off Jesus and looked at the waves, he started to sink because it was a distraction. A lot of times, teenagers think, "I'll serve God," or I'm sorry, I'll go to my third point, which is God wants to use you now. A lot of times, teenagers may think, "I'll serve God when I'm older, when I graduate, when I have a job, when I know more about the Bible." First of all, you can't have this mindset because tomorrow isn't promised. And secondly, you don't have to wait until you're grown. Sometimes we think we need to have it all figured out, but God isn't asking for our perfection. He's asking for our willingness. Every choice you make as a teenager sets up who you will become as an adult. If you choose to live for God now, you're building a strong foundation for your purpose later in your life. Also, just because you are young doesn't mean that you don't have an influence right where you are. You could be a light at your school, on your team, at your job. or even on social media. Matthew 5:14 says, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden." Your classmates may never walk into a church, but they could see Jesus through you every day. And as I end, I want to say God has a plan for you right now. You don't have to wait until you're an adult. You can shine for Jesus today. So I challenge you to ask yourself this week, who is taking the most of your time, or what is taking the most of your time? What's taking the most of your thoughts? And is it helping me get closer to God, or is it pulling me further away?